There was a time when gathering a group of unlikely heroes, a ragtag team of misfits with clashing personalities and mismatched skills, was a novel and exciting narrative device. Films like The Dirty Dozen and The Magnificent Seven set the stage for this storytelling formula, where diverse individuals who would never ordinarily cooperate are forced to unite for a common goal. This formula generated both tension and drama, and its inherent unpredictability led to compelling character dynamics. But in recent years, the theme of Misfits trope has become more of a narrative crutch than a fresh concept. From superhero blockbusters to sci-fi epics, the trope has been rehashed so many times it's starting to lose its impact. The question that arises is, why has this trope, once so innovative, now become so overdone? The charm of the theme of Misfits concept was originally rooted in its unpredictability. These were individuals often with clashing personalities or radically different worldviews, thrown together in dire circumstances. The appeal lay in watching them figure out how to function as a unit, overcoming their personal differences for the greater good. Each character had a unique strength, and the overall message was that unity in diversity was the key to success. Whether it was through moral growth or the characters finding common ground, the audience was often treated to a satisfying emotional payoff. Take Star Wars: A New Hope, where a farm boy, a smuggler, a princess, and a Wookiee came together to overthrow the evil empire. It wasn't just the special effects or the lightsaber duels that made the film a cultural phenomenon. It was the character dynamics and how the team's synergy evolved from dysfunction to brotherhood. Likewise, The Dirty Dozen showed us that even convicts with seemingly no redeeming qualities could rise above their flaws to complete an impossible mission. However, with the rise of genre films, particularly superhero movies, fantasy epics, and sci-fi blockbusters, the trope has been appropriated, recycled, and repackaged endlessly. In today's storytelling landscape, I've seen countless examples of the misfit team coming together to overcome a massive threat. Films such as Guardians of the Galaxy, Suicide Squad, Pacific Rim, Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, The Miseducation of Cameron Post, The Ministry of Ungentlemanly Warfare, Rebel Moon, The Twilight of the Gods, and Transformers Rise of the Beast all follow the same narrative path. Moreover, even animated features like Monsters vs. Aliens and The Land Before Time employ this structure. Audiences are now so familiar with the beats of this trope that it's losing its ability to surprise or resonate emotionally. One of the reasons I find this trope still is the sheer predictability of the character arcs. Typically, you have the reluctant leader, the loner who refuses to trust others, the comic relief, the muscles, and the wild card with a dark past. Over the course of the story, they all find their place within the group, often through predictable moments of reconciliation or mutual understanding. As soon as these character types are introduced, we know where they are headed. There's little room for surprise, and the conflicts that arise between them feel manufactured rather than authentic. Take the Suicide Squad, for example. Despite its fresh take on the superhero genre with graphic violence and dark humor, it still fell back on the tired trope of individual misfits uniting to save the day despite their disdain for each other. By the end, they've all formed an unlikely family of sorts. This predictable trajectory has been played out in so many films that it becomes difficult for any individual movie to distinguish itself from the rest. Similarly, films like Bohemian Rhapsody and Inglourious Basterds also recycle these character arcs, leading to formulaic resolutions. Another issue is that filmmakers often rely on the trope as a shortcut for character development. Instead of exploring new, innovative ways to bring characters together or create a unique group dynamic, the theme of misfits becomes a template that requires little thought or originality. The conflicts and resolutions within this theme feel familiar because we've seen them dozens of times before. There's nothing inherently wrong with leaning into familiar tropes, but when they are used as a crutch, they risk feeling formulaic and uninspired. Even a movie like Dungeons and Dragons Honor Among Thieves, which had the potential to dive into the quirks of his fantasy world, opted for the same misfits coming together structure. While entertaining, the movie didn't challenge the trope in any significant way, making it feel like just another riff on Guardians of the Galaxy, but with swords and spells instead of blasters and space. Part of the reason this trope is so common today is that it aligns with the franchise model that dominates modern cinema. Studios love franchises, and assembling a team of misfits is the perfect way to introduce multiple characters, each with their own potential for spin-offs and sequels. The Marvel Cinematic Universe perfected this formula by introducing individual characters in standalone films, then bringing them together in team-up films like The Avengers. This approach is now being replicated by numerous other franchises, from DC to Star Wars and even new cinematic universes like Twilight of the Gods and Rebel Moon. But as more franchises attempt to replicate this model, the theme of Misfits trope feels increasingly artificial. The teams are no longer organically developed but assembled with franchise potential in mind. Instead of feeling like a necessary narrative choice, it feels like a studio's strategy to sell more tickets, merchandise, and spin-offs. The danger of relying on such a well-worn trope is that the audiences eventually grow tired of it. What was once fresh becomes predictable, and the emotional stakes begin to diminish. When every movie involves a band of quirky individuals coming together to save the day, the trope loses its power to excite or surprise. Audiences can already predict the character beats and the group dynamics before the movie even begins, robbing the story of tension. The theme of Misfits trope has served its purpose well over the years, but its overuse in modern media has diluted its impact. While it once brought fresh, unpredictable energy to stories, it now feels formulaic and uninspired. That's just my opinion anyways.